All right, good morning, everybody. Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show outside Levi's Stadium before training camp practice number 10 here on a Monday as we get things rolling down here in Ninerland. Training camp 2025 continues. All right, let's talk about some of the stories of the day in Ninerland. Okay, first we start with the transactions. The Niners cut Trey Avery. Avery looked pretty good in the OTAs. But he's a journeyman. He's been around. He had fallen behind guys like Dallas Flowers and Trey Brown and Darrell Luter. And so this is a little bit of a thinning of the herd. It's probably cutting Trey Avery a break, right? Because now Avery can go somewhere else and try to catch on there. So the Niners cut cornerback Trey Avery. That was roster move number one. Now, roster move number two, you say, why did they cut Trey Avery? Who did they add? They added Isaiah Prince, an offensive tackle, former Tennessee Titan, former Ohio State Buckeye. Prince is signed. He's 6'6", about 310. Big man, 10-inch hands, 36-inch arms. This guy's got ridiculous length. And really what happened here is that, the Niners swing tackle thing, and we talked to Forster about it yesterday. They may not go swing tackle, right? They have Austin Pleasance backing up at right tackle, and they have Spencer Burford backing up at left tackle. They also have Andre Dillard, the veteran, who's yet to get on the field. Forster said that Dillard is getting close to returning, so he may be part of this third tackle situation. But the Niners don't really have a swing tackle. And Austin Pleasance went down with an injury in Saturday's practice. Now, I don't know what it was that he went out with. But Pleasance went out. He left Saturday's practice with some form of an injury. We'll find out, I'm sure, later today after practice, or maybe during practice, what the extent of Pleasance's injury was. I'll be on the lookout to see if he's out there. But Isaiah Prince will be a guy to watch. And he is one of the guys I'll be watching today for sure. I want to see what kind of movement he has. I want to see what he looks like in the one-on-ones. Is he in shape? Is he out of shape? Is he ready to roll? Is he going to be a factor? Or is he just a camp guy who's going to be cut in a couple weeks? But this is suddenly, if I'm John Lynch, I'm absolutely looking everywhere, under every stone, for every possible viable offensive tackle. Why? Because Burford looks like a guard playing tackle. He looks like he is going to get Brock Purdy killed. He's not quick-footed enough, so he can't get out there, and so he's likely to jump off sides, or to have false starts, I should say, because he's so geared up, because he doesn't have that quick foot ability to really kick out. So he's got to get a head start. If you get a head start, it's called a false start. So, Burford to me looks like a guard. And it's not just because I know that he's played guard. He doesn't look quick enough to play offensive tackle. So that's a concern. Dillard might be the guy. He was a former first-round pick. I thought he played better ball with Green Bay than he ever did with Philly. So I was really eager to see Andre Dillard in this camp, but he hasn't gotten on the field. Hopefully he does, and we'll get a chance to see, Dillard and see him make a contribution. But this spot is wide freaking open, and this is a key spot. I mean, Jalen Moore made $30 million from Kansas City. He was their third tackle last year, and he was good. He was a really good third tackle, right side, left side. They don't have to go right side, left side. They could go with multiple offensive tackles and not have a pure swing tackle per se. But I just don't know that they have anybody. You've got Trent Williams, who's one of the best tackles ever. You've got Colton McKivitz, who says his goal is to make the Pro Bowl. Well, that's great. So your starting tandem, I think, is going to be pretty good on paper. I don't think it's, there's reason to be concerned about those guys. But then you got to have a third tackle. And Pleasance looked awesome in the OTAs, and he's just getting destroyed by speed and power. I just watched Jalen Allen bull rush Pleasance despite outweighing him by about 100 pounds. He just waltzed him right into the lap of the quarterback. He's a 240-pound defensive end. How are you going to stand, if you can't stand up to a 240-pound defensive end out of the UFL, how are you going to stand up against 75-pound defensive ends from the NFL? So I got my concerns about Pleasance, despite the fact I was sky high on him in OTAs. I got major concerns on Burford. I don't think he can do it. I just don't think he can do it. Dillard, to me, is the only guy who could be that third tackle, and we haven't seen him out here. So I'm really eager to see, are we going to see Dillard at practice? If not, what does Prince look like? Isaiah Prince, their former Ohio State Buckeye. So that was story number 2. Story number 3 is that the Niners got rid of Marquez Callaway, the former New Orleans Saint receiver, and instead have signed Robbie Chosen, who went to college at Temple and actually was in camp with the Niners a year ago. Chosen's a big guy who can run, man. You're talking about a 6'3", 6'4" receiver who runs in the 4.3s. At least once upon a time, coming out of Temple, he ran in the 4.3s. It seems that Shanahan, they haven't said it. They haven't said, like, we have a new philosophy on receivers. But look at what they've added receiver-wise this offseason, or in the last 2 years. Jacob Cowing, 4.3 guy. Jordan Watkins, 4.37 guy. Isaiah Nair, gigantic 6'4" receiver who runs 4.4 flat. And now today they pick up Robbie Chosen and cut Marquise Callaway, and Chosen runs 4.36. It really does seem like Shanahan wants speed and big playability at the wide receiver spot. And so he, going for Robbie Chosen, I'll be watching Chosen today as well, to see if he still has that speed and what he looks like in practice. They also signed Andy Isabella. Shanahan said, hey, the guy ran 4.31, and we felt we needed that speed. So for whatever reason, and maybe it's worthy of a question to Shanahan after practice today, has your philosophy changed in any way about the kind of receivers that you're looking to add with Brock Purdy running the show? Because it seems like the Niners were dead last year in separation, and it seems like that is something that Shanahan is looking to reverse because he's added an awful lot of speed. He's added more speed at wide receiver this year and in the last 2 years than he really has in any of the previous years he's been here. So the increased focus on speed at wide receiver, I think, is going to be something to maybe talk to Kyle about after practice. A couple other thoughts. There are people, Richard Sherman and others, who are suggesting that Jauan Jennings' calf injury is really not a calf injury, that he's just literally holding in. And all I'll say is I think it's possible that the calf injury, Matt Mayoko said, hey, no, I think the calf injury is legit. Richard Sherman suggested that as soon as Jauan gets the contract that he wants, this calf injury is going to go poof, up in smoke, like it's basically a bogus injury. All I'll say is this. Everybody was geared media-wise on day one for JJ. What's Jennings going to do? The first day of camp was about Jennings. What's Jennings going to do? Well, you know what? The Niners, that's a big distraction. Did he hold out? No. Did he hold in? According to people that reported, said, no, he didn't hold in. Look at JJ. He's awesome. He's not going to hold out. He's not going to hold in. He's just going to show up and play. All right. But maybe Sherman's right. Because I'll say this about JJ. He did have the calf in the springtime. And a calf thing can be, hey, just totally precautionary. Hey, let's just keep him out. Had the calf thing in the spring. But I'll just say this. He's in awesome shape. I'm looking at Jauan Jennings right now. He's in great shape. He looks terrific. I just kind of find it hard to believe that he has this calf injury. So we'll see. We'll see. You're never going to get a straight answer on this one. The Niners are going to say, of course he's got a calf injury. And how dare you suggest that he doesn't? But then, JJ could be like, hey, if I'm not going to get the contract, why am I risking getting hurt? I'm just gonna ease off the gas pedal until I get what I want contractually. So I don't know what's going on here. There's a lot of things that never bubbled to the surface media-wise or publicly that are indeed true. So I don't know. Yes, it's easy to say, No, he's absolutely hurt. The calf injury is totally legit. How dare you suggest, anybody can take that high road. But guess what? There's no proof of any of it. They're not going to show us some MRI that shows some calf strain. We're not going to get definitive proof on the calf strain. Jauan says he's got a calf. The Niners say he has a calf. There is no other. There's no other. It's not. They're the judge, jury, and executioner on this stuff. So it's like that's it. He's got a calf strain. Is it legit? I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'll just say that. I'll color me skeptical. Where Mayoko is like, no, it's a calf strain. It's legit. I'm not so sure. One other note, there's been a lot of talk in the last 24 hours with Terry McLaurin demanding a trade that, hey, how about McLaurin to the Niners? Once again, Mayoko weighed in and said he thinks it's unlikely. Well, of course it's unlikely. He's a 29-year-old receiver. He wants $30 million a year. The Niners paid, Debo, then they paid Ayuk, and then they paid JJ, and now JJ wants to get paid again, and so the Niners have paid a lot of receivers. I don't think they're in the market for a 29-year-old receiver. If the Niners were in a different situation roster-wise, I would say it might be viable. And what I mean by that is the Niners are in a reset here. There's 20 rookies in camp. It's going to be a very young roster. It's a transition type year on the defensive side of the ball. If the Niners had a Super Bowl ready-made defense, a Super Bowl ready-made special teams, a Super Bowl ready-made offense, and McLaurin was out there, then I would say, yeah, it probably makes a little sense. But in reality, to go for another $30 million receiver who's 29, and what, are you going to trade Ayuk? Are you going to trade JJ? I mean, you'd have to trade your expensive receivers for him. I just don't see it happening. I mean, yeah, I guess you could have I was thrown out we were having dinner the other night, and I said, hey, would you do this trade? Would you trade Jauan Jennings and Ayuk to the Commanders if you could get Terry McLaurin and McCaffrey's brother, Luke McCaffrey? Would you do it? I said I would. But, that to me would be interesting, but it's not going to happen. McLaurin is a star in D.C. He's a favorite of the Commander fans. They had tons of McLaurin jerseys all throughout the Greenbelt, Maryland area. McLaurin ain't going anywhere. That would be my guess. I mean, who knows? He could be traded in the next 5 minutes before you guys even watch this video. He could be traded, but I don't think so. I think McLaurin's going to stay there. I think JJ's going to stay here. I think Ayuk's going to stay here. And I think a lot of this talk is just that talk. And as far as we'll finish with who we're looking to see today. Who are we after today? Who do we want to film today? Who do we want to watch at practice? I'm going to be looking for Isaiah Prince, the brand new tackle. I'll be looking for Robbie Chosen, the new 4-3-6 wide receiver. The Niners added Carter Bradlee. So now, to me, I'm watching Carter Bradlee and Tanner Mordecai because they're battling it out for probably the third quarterback spot. I want to watch Stone Blanton. Johnny Holland told me a lot of good things yesterday about Stone Blanton. I'm going to watch him today. Jalen Graham, another guy I'm going to watch today. Johnny's talked up Jalen Graham. And then I want to watch Dallas Flowers and Darrell Luter Jr., two big, rangy corners that if these two guys fulfill their potential, the Niners are fine on the corner. Renardo, Demo, obviously you've got Upton Stout. Those are your top three guys. But if somehow Dallas Flowers gives them good run on the corner and Luter gives them good run on the corner, that's 5 in-house. And then you also have Jacob Robinson, another guy that Gus Bradlee shouted out yesterday. So there you go. I want to see the guys that Gus shouted out yesterday. Robinson, Luter, Flowers. I want to see Graham. I want to see Blanton. I want to take a closer look at Mordecai versus Bradlee. And I'm looking for Robbie Chosen and Isaiah Prince to show me something in their first practice in a 49er uniform, or at least Chosen's first of the year, Prince's first ever. All right, Larry Krueger outside Levi's for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little late breaking news. The Niners have signed former Utah Ute defensive end Bradlee Anae as the newest 49er. He played with Dallas. He's a try-hard, high-effort, super tough guy, defensive end who's always had a knack for rushing the passer. A lot of pass rushers have that look. They walk in the room and you're like, That's a pass rusher. They're 6'5", they've got 36-inch arms, they're willowy, they've got unbelievable length and strength and explosiveness. That's not this guy. This guy's sawed off, 6'1", 270, tough as hell, though, really tough. This is the kind of guy that shows up to beat you. He's a great competitor. I loved him with the Utah Utes. He's a short, kind of, as far as body type, he's kind of like a Sam O. I think of Sam Aquinu, the Niner defensive end, who's like 6'1" and change, about 270. That's Anae. He's smaller, more compact, powerful. He's nasty. He's got a great motor, and I think he's a good addition. It'll be interesting. I'm eager to see what he was a great college pass rusher. As I said, he lacks some of the traits to be really, really special as a pass rusher, but he is a tough guy, try-hard guy, and a guy that I think is a good addition to the room, and we'll see what he's got. So there you go, the latest from the Niners. Bradlee Anae, the former Utah Ute, the former Dallas Cowboy, is your newest 49er.